Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a phenomenal weekend. You might not even be watching this in the morning, but who cares? I'm recording this in the morning, so good morning. Today, I wanted to talk about my ideal Sonic Adventure 3 or Sonic Adventure styled game. I've had this idea in my head for a while now, and the more that I play these fan projects and the more that I play games with mods, the more that I sort of get to piece together my consensus on how I want this game to turn out. So the thing is that I really like the older adventure games. I want to take a lot from those, hence why this is an adventure styled game. But I do want to shake up the formula a little bit. I want to innovate a little bit. I don't want to just copy everyone's ideas. At least I don't think I'm copying everyone's ideas. So here we go. We're going to start with the story, because I think this is a really important piece. Sonic Adventure stories typically tend to be more grandiose. They tend to be more epic. They tend to have these massive stakes and massive proportions. So I think I want a story that is on the same scale as Sonic Unleashed. I think the stakes in that game were massive. I think all the lore and tidbits that were introduced in that game fit really perfectly within the Sonic universe. I think the introduction of Light and Dark Gaia as characters and entities in the Sonic universe was really cool. So I think that something akin to Sonic Unleashed or even like Sonic Frontiers would be really dope to have this sort of grandiose, lore-heavy story that explains a lot or explains one big sort of question that we have within the Sonic universe. So, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Frontiers-esque style scale story would be my kind of go-to, my ideal for this hypothetical Sonic adventure game. The next thing I want to do is I want to break down the characters and how they'll play and sort of their level design. First and foremost, I want Sonic and Shadow to be the speedsters again, and I want them to have similar playstyles, but I want them to have two different types of levels. I want one type of level to be your typical, like, blitz through the level, kind of linear with some paths that kind of branch off, that, might save you a couple seconds here and there. We're talking something like Project 06 levels that are mainly linear, but you got some alternate paths that can save you some time or maybe can be a little bit more flashy. And then I want to have a different type of level that's actually very similar to this mod for Project 06. It's called the Sigil Archipelago. And what it is, it's a more open level that is a little bit more ambiguous on where you're supposed to go. There are some paths that lead you to dead ends, and you have to backtrack and make your way back to the main path. And it's a little bit more combat heavy and focused than your typical level. So I want those two types of levels to be in the game, but I want the gameplay, like the physics and all that, to feel the same. So you have your two speedsters, Sonic and Shadow, and they have two levels, one that's a little bit more typical of like a Sonic adventure, blitz through, fast, whatever, score attack, and then the other is a little bit more open-ended, some more pathways that lead to the end, and a little bit more combat heavy. These levels will take a little bit longer, but really it's about like finding that right path and making sure that you keep your rings and that your combos flow really well. I do want combat to be improved upon what Frontiers introduced. I want Sonic and Shadow to both have those really flashy combos, but they're a little bit more simple, and you're kind of just like memorizing which combos and how to deal with certain enemies and stuff like that. I think the way that Frontiers started it is cool. Now let's just build upon it, make it a little bit more in-depth, but not too complex, because I'm actually going to save that for a different character. I did want to fit Silver in here as well, but I didn't really see anything major that I wanted to change with his gameplay. I honestly think keeping with what Chaos X has done with him in Project 06, with making his powers feel a little bit stronger, making him flow a little bit faster, and making his platforming and his combat super fun. I think keeping that and just expanding upon it slightly with more like original levels and stuff like that would be really cool. I don't want Silver to be a speedster. That's not what he is. Although he can go fast, he is not a speedster. So yeah, nothing changes much with Silver. He gets mainly no major differences. He stays the same for the most part, just a little bit more, a little bit of pizzazz. Moving on to Tails, I want Tails to play the same exact way he did in Sonic Adventure. I think that's where they peaked with Tails gameplay. I don't want none of this mech shooter thing. I was never a fan of the mech shooter. Gamma was cool, but like they really slowed it down and made it a slog in Sonic Adventure 2. So do away with the mechs. You know, we're not including Eggman in this, so he doesn't need a mech. Let's give Tails his, you know, super speedy flight shortcut gameplay where he's racing against Sonic, he's racing against some sort of enemy, and he just needs to go through this level, find his own shortcuts. And usually the shortcuts are signified with the dash rings, but I honestly don't even think you need those. I think just finding your own shortcuts and seeing like, hey, I can definitely make that distance with this flight would be more than enough. I think Tails had his gameplay nailed in Adventure 1, and they haven't done him justice since. I like what they started to do with him in Project 06, so let's give him that bounce that he can with his tail attack. Let's keep the dummy ring bombs. I think the dummy ring bombs are so cool. The way that they implemented them in 06 or Project 06, where he can just kind of like, you know, throw a bunch of them in the air, kind of little bombardment. So let's keep that. Let's merge Project 06 and let's merge Sonic Adventure 1 Tails, and boom, we've got ideal Tails. Now, Knuckles and Rouge, I think, should have two main levels akin to how I have Sonic and Shadow. The first main level is going to be like the treasure hunting, find the keys, whatever, and that's the main objective. Is once you find all the keys, you get to the goal ring opens up, and you can go there. And I need the Emerald Radar to be able to detect, or the Key Radar to be able to detect two things at once. Get rid of that SA2, whatever, they made the changes with that. Keep that SA1 Emerald Radar. That's how it should be. The other level type is the Werehog-ish combat platforming gameplay. I have this mod that takes the level from Windmill Isle, Night Act 1, and lets you play as Knuckles through it, and I think that worked so well. And if they could design the levels around Knuckles and his abilities, that'd be so cool to have a little more platforming heavy, combat heavy, focused on just getting to the goal rather than searching around these giant areas. I do like the radar treasure hunting aspect, so let's keep those two levels separate. I like the idea of having characters, or, you know, the archetypes that have two separate gameplay styles within their levels, or two different level styles but with the same gameplay. I think that is super cool, and it'll offer like something for everybody that likes, you know, like different things in the games. I'm trying to find my words here, but yeah, I think having all that would be super cool, and I think it would just be the innovation that a Sonic Adventure game needs. That's really all I have for gameplay. I don't think anything much deeper than that is
Okay.
needed. For music, you know, give everybody back their own original music styles. Give Sonic his butt rock. Give Rouge her jazz. give Tails his upbeat poppy music, give Knuckles his rap. Please give Knuckles his rap. I am fiending for some more Knuckles rap. Other than that, I mean, I don't have that many expectations. I don't think I'm that difficult to please. Just make the story epic, make the story interesting, make it lore heavy-ish, give everybody the gameplay styles that I'm asking for, and honestly, I think we have a 10 out of 10 game right there. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments, because I will be judging you. You better agree with me, or else. I'm kidding. But, yeah, so, let's have a dialogue. Alright? You guys have a good one.